Okie dokie, after 4 million takes, this is, and I already said this once, this is the last take, and yeah, I have jacked around. This clock has been a rather an annoyance. I don't know why it's being such a pain, because I'm letting it. It actually fits in that radio rather tight. It's got like zero clearance, and you got to kind of wiggle it. And in the radio, there are these little gussets on the corners. I'll just show it to you real quick here. Like here, and there's one that's intact. The rest are all broke out because apparently whoever worked on this before, pardon me, couldn't figure out how to get the damn thing out either. It fits in there damn tight. What I've done was, well, originally I wasn't going to work with this thing. I got on the internet. This is a Telecron module, and I'm a little hazy whether Telecron built the whole clock or this assembly here, which is the rotor. This is the actual rotational part, and this is the stator or stator. This is just an electromagnet, and it kind of, these arms extend up around there. This is a synchronous motor. Apparently Telecron's had been around for quite a while and made probably a lot of money making clocks or modules for clocks. I think they did both. This thing's a little unusual. What I ended up doing was, it looks originally, right off the bat, it looks like this clock is held in by these 4 screws. Well, that isn't true. It's just these 2 screws. And this thing is a real wreck. Somebody had stuffed 6 sheets of sandpaper under here to kind of shim this thing. And I don't know what they were doing. I think they were trying to get the motor to run, and it's just kind of a mess. What I did was I took these screws loose and loosened these back to, the arms kind of open up a little bit, and you can wiggle that module out. And I looked around on the internet. Amazingly enough, there's kind of some sites. There's some guys that specialize in rebuilding these, and they basically cut them open somehow. I think they stick them in lathes and turn this edge down until the thing pops open. And there's a number of different, this is an older or newer, depending on your perspective, Telecron clock module. This rotor is. I think this is an H model. Anyway, they take them all apart and tinker with them and put them back together, and they want about $100. And these are sealed. That's why they got to take them apart. Now, I did find a website that says, basically in a nutshell, these are sealed and they've got grease in them. What they do is they set these upside down on a bulb, like a light bulb or some sort of a heat source, and gently warm them. Underneath here, which you can't see, is a little cup, and there's a pinion that sits in there, and they put a little bit of oil in that cup when they heat them, and then the thing, due to the expansion, kind of gases out, and then when you stop heating the motor or rotor, a vacuum is pulled and it pulls that oil back in. You do that a couple, 3 times and it kind of oils the motor. It's apparently preferable to what they call drill and fill, where they poke a hole in there somewhere and try and shoot some grease or oil in there to get these things going. And I did do that to this rotor, and it did fix it and get it going again. One of the other things I noticed about this is it kind of has a sort of a sleep timer, this little thing here. And this also aids in not getting the thing out of the body of the clock or the body of the radio that catches up on there, so you got to shove that in and keep shoving it in to get enough clearance to get it through there. Another thing I did was I kind of had to, the whole thing was racked in there for some reason. I kind of had to take it all apart and clean it all up and fix that. I also had to fix this arm. This arm with this module here, this is the alarm set, and this arm actually, this post pushes this arm and pushes this arm back, and when the alarm goes off, there's a tooth down here that the clock rotates around, and right there it lets that tooth fall in, and then this arm gets up against that magnet and buzzes like hell. In my travels working on this, I got the thing going. I got so excited that I just kind of left it in the clock, or in the body of the radio. I keep calling it the clock. I didn't think anything about it. I went to bed, and at 2:30 in the morning, an alarm went off and woke everybody in the house up. Needless to say, I was not real popular. So I lost some brownie points there, especially since the person that woke up hadn't been sleeping well for the last 3 or 4 days. So after a good yelling at and some other things, I've kind of got this thing going now. I would like to clean the face up on this thing, but I'm not sure how this is held in there. It looks like this ring is just bent. Their little fingers that are bent over. I think I'm just going to leave this alone. And it does run now. When I originally started tinkering with it, it was losing time at an almost exponential rate. It almost seemed like the thing was going backwards. I think literally for every hour of time in the real world that advanced, this thing only advanced about an hour. So that's kind of the secret of the Telechron clock. Apparently they made a lot of clocks and modules, and there's kind of a big following of people that fiddle with these. I don't know. I wasn't going to dink with this originally, and I didn't think people would be interested in it. And I think what I'll do is just put this video up, and I'm going to put the clock radio back together. It's pretty much in a nutshell done, and find a nice little home. The only thing I'm going to do in addition to that is replace the line cord. I'm probably going to put a polarized line cord, and I might put a fuse in there. I've been debating this a little bit. You know, when you work on these old radios, do you put them back the way they were? I don't want to use the word improve, but I guess I'll use the word, do you bring them up to code, you know? And these things have been around forever. It's possible they've burned a few houses down. I don't know. I suppose you could put a fuse in there. Actually, what I do is I've got a little socket with a fuse holder in it, and then I use that when I want to, play with this kind of stuff out in the, out in the public. You know, if I'm going to run a radio away from my shop or something, I'll just plug it into that. And I've never had anything bad ever happen. So, you could go as far as to get out, a stupid one of those whatchamadoobie things, ground fault detector and all that stuff. And I suppose theoretically you probably, there is the little noise cap on there across the line. I suppose theoretically you should get that one would probably be an X cap. They've got those self-healing safety caps, they call them, and you can go to all that trouble to get all that stuff, and on and on and on. If you're really worried about it all, my suggestion is just don't play with these radios. They've got some idiosyncrasies, and they could be potentially a little dangerous. I think where the danger comes is that people are unaware of the danger. So that's my speech on old electronics. Everything has an element of danger, and I get real tired of hearing about it some days. I'm not in a hearing about it mood. Trying to think what else. The clock seems to, or the radio seems to be just playing along swimmingly. And I want to take some time to thank all the folks that commented and watched this and found it interesting, or watched it and found it, or laughed their can off. It's I don't know. It's interesting when you make these videos because it takes longer than you think. Normally you just go work on this stuff and it's not that you don't think about it, you just do your thing. Now you gotta, if you're trying to videotape these, you gotta talk to yourself, which makes you sound like a madman. And Mrs. keeps asking, what's that noise I hear in the basement sometimes? Or what's that noise out in the kitchen? I tell her it's the radio. It's actually me talking. I'd like to at least get this done before she has me committed. So there you go. I think that'll about button this up. I think maybe in the future, I don't know, I've been thinking about some new maybe projects. I got a hold of a big stash of radios the other day. I might show the different ones to you, and I might let the subscribers maybe pick what we tinker with. And I was thinking, I don't know, let me know what you think about this if you get time. I was thinking about working on something, radio, and I'll do something, and what I might do is, normally I do these things, and you kind of just go along in stages, and sometimes you get pretty far ahead of when they get released, and people have comments about stuff, and then you don't get to try them, and it looks like you're ignoring the subscribers, and you're not. You've shot the video, and it's done, and it's in the can, and there's nothing you can do about it. Unlike this one, which I've reshot about. I've got more video about this clock than I've got for the whole radio. So what I might do is shoot some video and post it, and then let it sit 24 hours. And then wait for people to comment, and maybe kind of encourage the subscriber base to make comments about the next move. I don't know if that'll drag that out more or not. I get sidetracked real easy on some of these issues. Some of these things I think people want to know about. It's really tough to balance that stuff out. You don't have enough information, then the people that are new get lost. If you have too much information, then people that have done this before that are just kind of interested in it are over there going, yeah, get on with it. So somewhere in the middle maybe is a balance. I don't know, I thought I'd try that and see how that goes. Let folks comment on that and see which way maybe we go ahead of time. Okie dokie. Take her easy. Thanks for stopping by.